Are you tired of hearing mental health from a superficial view and want to hear about realistic views? Well, you come to the right place, a space where healing is central, but also normalized. Your hosts, Danica and Myra, who are in the mental health field, will explore topics that help promote healing in your everyday life. Through our podcast, you will get the real and the work to focus on your healing. Welcome to Black Women Healing Podcast. Hey, you all, we're back with another episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And today we have another very special guest, Shadéy. And we're so happy that we're going to be finally talking about taxes. So we always start with a random scenario, Shadéy. So random scenario.
Okay.
So let's say that you only have $5 to last you for a week, 7 days. What would you do with this $5?
Spaghetti. Spaghetti and sausage. Because you can make spaghetti every day. You could just make and then you could buy if you go to Publix, they always have buy one get one frees of either marinara sauce or Alfredo. So you can make marinara Alfredo.
Okay. What about the meat piece?
Sausage. You can just get if you get beef sausage at Publix, they're $3, $3 and some change. So you can buy two. You can buy two, or buy one of that and one ground beef for $3, so $6, and then you can get 3 packs of spaghetti. $5, right? You said $5?
You only got $5. Your $5 done ran up.
Damn. Yeah, I guess either ground. I guess you could do ground beef. I can buy ground beef for $3, and then you can buy a spaghetti pack 2 for $1. If you get the generic brand.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. I love spaghetti too. It would have to work.
It'll work. We can make it work.
Myra, what would you do, Myra, with your $5?
I don't need spaghetti, so I don't know.
What?
Why does everybody do that when I tell them that? I don't know. I think I'll just save the $5 for the next week. Because I can't buy nothing with $5 unless I go to the 99-cent store.
Well, you have to survive for a week.
I'll survive with canned goods that I stocked up from the coronavirus. I'm good.
What about noodles? You can get noodles.
Definitely true. I'll definitely buy some noodles.
There you go.
What would you get, Danica?
I like pastas too. I think that maybe what's that thing? Hamburger helper. Maybe one of those. Don't judge me. I like hot dogs. I'll get hot dogs. Don't be making that. Hot dogs are cheap too. I'll get some hot dogs and some chips. It's funny.
That's a lot for $5.
Well, you get your dollar bag of chips, right? Your dollar bag of chips. Your hot dogs is gonna be $1 or 2 for $1, depending on where you go.
They're not $1 anymore. They're $1.49 or something. The dollar bag of chips.
Yeah.
They're $1.49.
You can't get a dollar bag of chips.
That does not exist anymore.
They don't have that anymore. They don't have 50-cent chips no more either. And they used to be 25 cents. They're 75 cents now. Those little small bags.
Right. For the
$1 chips. So $1. Okay.
She thinking that she get her stimulus check.
Right. $1.50. $1.50 bag of chips. I don't get, so it's $1.50. A pack of hot dogs. Is that 2 for $1 still? Or do y'all eat hot? Well, I know Myra, you don't eat hot dogs. Shadéy,
I don't eat hot. No, I don't know.
You know what? Basically, it's gonna be hard to live off $5. And I think that even talking to y'all right now, it makes me think of how when you're not in that realm, I don't pay attention to how much my chips cost no more. If I buy chips, I just pick them up. And it's bad that it's a privilege for me to be able to do that, to be honest.
Man.
That's wild. You can't get a bag of chips for $1, y'all. No, you can't get.
And the small 20, they used to be 25 cents. They're 75 cents. They're 2 for $1.50 or 2 for $1.25 or something like that, which don't make any sense because they're the little small one.
We being played.
You privileged.
That's a fact.
You privileged too. We all privileged.
Joe hot.
But thanks for entertaining my random scenarios. So I'm gonna let Myra go ahead and introduce you properly.
All right, y'all. So this week's guest is Shadéy. She's an alumni from the University of Central Florida with a psychology degree. After graduation, she worked as a finance manager and was then promoted to an accountant. She worked at a tax office for about 3 years on the side before she left to start her own business. She's the owner of a tax prep and advice company called My Tax Vice LLC. She has a podcast called Uncut. What does the CO stand for?
CO Uncut. Well, my nickname on the podcast is Barack Obama.
Oh, okay. She has a podcast called Barack Obama Uncut, where she talks about everything under the sun, from relationships to adulting to blogging. Shadéy likes to do everything that we can't do right now. Be outside with the 6 people, gathering groups of more than 10, be out after 11, all the fun stuff. Be sure to follow her at Barack Obama 305 on Instagram and Twitter, or follow her business page, My Tax Advice, or visit mytaxvice.com. And my bad, that's My Tax Vice for her business page, and I'll make sure I share it with y'all. So Shadéy, before we get into all the tax stuff, share with us a little bit about your passions and hobbies and just stuff you enjoy.
Okay, so including all of the things that I said earlier, I like gathering in groups of more than 10 and being outside. I guess I have a podcast where we talk about a lot of different things. We were just actually on live today. We just talked about what is a hoe. Like, we talk about random stuff today. Or we've also talked, we have a YouTube page now where we talk about, we did 21 questions. So I like doing like a little bit of creative things. I like to do a lot of different stuff. Like, I'm always all over the place. I'm Haitian. I like to dance compa. I go to Haitian parties. I like going to Juve and Carnival. I do paint and sips, as you can see. I do makeup. I just like to do a lot of different stuff.
A little bit of everything. So what was the scenario? Not the scenario. What did y'all end up deciding was a hoe? Because I'm curious.
So they said, they said it was somebody that wants you, that wants you and is doing things for you, but you're not going to have sex with them.
Okay.
Wait, so the person who is knowing that somebody's doing something for them?
Yeah, because I was asking, because somebody said I had hoes. So I was like, what is even a hoe? And so we ended up saying that it's somebody who wants to sleep with you, but and is doing a lot of stuff for you, and you're accepting it, but you're not going to sleep with them.
It's like a trick.
Yeah. Look, that's perfect. That's what I should have said that, but that's a trick though. I got it next time. I got it for the next time. We'll put it right here.
All right, Shadéy, so you got tricks.
This is my laugh of the day.
I wish.
Hey, that is a super interesting topic. I cannot wait to go listen. I most definitely will be.
I'm for sure listening to that.
Okay, so today, y'all, we're going to be focusing on taxes. I think that it's super important and very prevalent and relevant to talk about this. So I'm just going to start with our first question, which is, what are the top 3 things you feel that we should know about taxes?
Okay, so it's okay. I have wrote down notes.
Absolutely,
so I don't forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I felt like first, one of the things that you should, free money, because a lot of times people think that, oh, it's tax season, I'm about to get free money. No, that's the money that was taken out of your check. They're giving you the money back because the government trusts business owners to pay their taxes. They don't trust non-business owners to pay their taxes. So they basically take it from your check and then they give you back like the extra. Your taxes is not free money, because I know a lot of people think that it's just free money that you could just find anywhere, which it's based on how much money you were getting. Another thing is that your W-4 A lot of people don't know about the W-4. They're always like, oh, should I put 0 or should I put 1? You should put 0 unless you are somebody's dependent, and then you can put 1. It's how much money they're going to take out of your taxes, right? So, sorry, my stand is about to fall. All right. So basically, you should put 0 so that they'll take out less. Or if you put 1, they'll give you more money on your check, but that means they're going to take less out of your check, which means you get less at the end of the year. And then the third is, I went to go do a little research on the stimulus package. So they're going to send everybody $1,200, and everybody's excited about it. But that is a tax refund advance. So that $1,200 that you're getting now is going to be taken out of your taxes next year.
What? So you what?
Yep.
So you mean basically next? Now, sorry, I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Next year when people file their taxes, you saying if they get a refund, that $1,200 is going to be taken from the refund?
Yep.
Well, what if you don't even get a refund though?
That's a good question. I don't know how they're going to do that, because if you make more than 75,000, it diminishes how much you're going to get. So I'm assuming they know that people with that make less than 75 usually get more. I don't know if they're going to make you owe the rest, because that's the only thing I could think of is if you would owe the rest, because then that wouldn't be fair if they just like write it off. So people might have to return money if they owe, which sucks too, because after Trump's reform, a lot of people have been getting less tax returns anyways. So there's that.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I have a follow-up question because this stuff is interesting. I feel like it's some stuff I know and it's a lot of stuff I don't. But when you kind of talk about your taxes are not free money. When they take the money from your taxes, right? It goes toward all of these different kind of accounts, these government accounts, whatever, depends on what state, all of that. And you said, so your taxes, when you get that money, they're not giving it all back to you, right?
Yeah, you're not getting it all back. It depends on your tax bracket of how much of your income you're supposed to pay. So I believe if you're lower class, I think you're the lowest, you're supposed to pay 10% or something like that. And then the next one would be a higher percentage. You pay a higher percentage every tax bracket that you have. So they're giving you the rest of it back.
They're giving you the rest of it back.
So you're not going to get everything that they took out of your check, but they're going to give you a majority depending on your taxable income.
Oh. Okay. And most definitely, that's helpful to know, because I do think that, at least I know, I'll be like, wait, they take the taxes to give us the same money back just later. It kind of seems confusing. Y'all take it and then I'm giving it back, but like you just said, you're not getting that full amount back.
Yeah, you have to pay.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, do you think that tax preparation is a struggle for Black women? And if you do, how so?
Personally, if you're doing personal taxes, it's usually not an issue at all. Because a lot of personal taxes is basically just data entry. And on top of that, I don't think most people do their own taxes. They usually just take all their information and they give it to a tax preparer anyways. So I don't think that's the struggle. I think the struggle comes from when the tax preparer doesn't, when there's a business or there's something extra that the tax preparer is not aware of, extra credits and things of that nature. I think we're losing out on money. Sorry, my stand keeps falling. I just bought it. It's cheap. You're losing out on money. Know about the available credits to you. There's that. As well as if you have a business and you just go to a tax preparer that's not equipped or doesn't know what they're doing, you may be losing money on that table front as well. But for the most part, I don't know a lot of people who do their own taxes. So there's that.
Okay, so that's most definitely something that's interesting that you said about how we kind of lose out on these credits. And so I think I know for me, I filed my own taxes, but because my mom, she does, and she kind of taught me to do it. But I think the fear is that you missing out on
or
something.
you messing something up.
People, exactly. You see people go and they like get all this money if they go somewhere and they're like, oh yeah, they did this and did that. And you like, did I do it right? Like, like you kind of wonder, but then again, I don't have a business, at least not as of now.
This is the business.
All I'm filing is.
Business.
Thank you.
This is a business.
This is absolute business. Have any taxable income as of now. So, but
take advantage of the write-offs.
What do you mean?
How do we do that? That's the question.
So, if you're investing money into this podcast in hopes of in the future you're going to get some income, you could write things off, like the things that you use. Like if you, for example, like my podcast, we haven't made it an LLC yet, but we are getting, like, for example, I did my paint and sip under my podcast. So all the supplies that I bought, I wrote it off. You know what I mean? So I bought food for the event. I wrote it off.
When you say write it off, that means what?
So when you do a schedule, when you have a business, you would do a Schedule C, under your personal taxes. So what I did was, whenever you do a Schedule C, there's things that you can write off. So it has like your car expenses. It has like a slot for everything that you can write off, as well as, of course, you would have to have your tax knowledge of what you can and can't write off. And you just basically, if you have a tax preparer, you would give them the amount that you spent for whatever it is. So like, for example, for that event, I also paid for like Facebook advertisement. You know how when they say, oh, promote your thing or whatever. So I put that on my taxes that I spent money on this. So your personal tax income would be lower because you invested in a business. And it also says that this business started this year, so you might not have any income in the first place. So there's that too. So you can write things off if you bought supplies, if you paid for advertising, you pay for a website, things like that, you could write that off.
So does your business have to be like an LLC before you can write it off, or does it have to be like recognized somewhere, or can you just write those things off without it being?
No, I mean, you could say this business started this year. You don't have to have, because if it was a sole proprietorship, which means it's like your personal business, you wouldn't need an LLC or a EIN anyways. It would just be under your personal taxes. So until you have an LLC, you would just put it under your personal taxes.
And I have one more question. So are you keeping receipts? And do you have to like send proof, like, or is it just more like to the IRS, or how does that go?
I keep my receipts, but I use a specific card, because you could always get like a separate debit card. So I just had a separate debit card. So I have, whenever I do things like pay for my business cards or do a business photo shoot or something like that, I pay off of that card. So I already have, like, the bank statements would have everything that I need. But when you're actually sending in your taxes, they don't ask you for it. It's usually when you get audited. So when something looks wrong, then they'll ask for it, and you can always send it in.
Got it. Okay.
This is so good already. Thank you so much for answering all our questions. We're gonna go ahead and get to the next question. So the next question is, what is the main error that you have noticed that people make when they are filing their taxes?
Oh, well, personally, if you do your taxes with me, I don't see any error.
You do taxes for people out of your state?
Yeah, I do. I can do it in 47 states, I believe.
Okay.
with because I e-file them, so I don't have to send anything in. It's basically everything is automatic. But the most issues that I usually see is when people have either kids or businesses the most, because people are not sure what they can and can't write off, and you know, a lot. And when people start businesses, they're like, wow, I have to pay taxes for the first time, that's crazy. So I usually see like other tax preparers who are not really knowledgeable about like business taxes make mistakes, like they'll write off like car, like your car standard deduction, but then they'll also put it somewhere else, so like it deducts twice, so it looks like you paid twice. So you pay less in taxes, but then when the IRS finds it out and they're like, oh, you're audited because you didn't pay this, you said you spent this amount of money but you only spent it once, now you have to pay more, and you were not aware, and this, that, like stuff like that. And then people with kids, of course, they try to take other people's kids, and eventually they'll get up to you, because a lot of people think that they can get away with it, which, you know, some people do get away with the kids and the fake paycheck stubs and this, that, and the other. But the IRS within 3 years can still look at your tax returns. So you might not get caught this year, you might not get caught next year, but the year after you could still get, you know, caught for something, and then they'll audit your whole tax, like, and it gets way like above people's heads. So there's that.
Oh, wow. Would you say that after 3 years then, that if people did that, then they in the clear, or no?
For the most part, because they usually look for up to 3 years, so it would be like a free. The only thing I would think is if you got audited for one thing and then they went all the way back. But I've never really seen anybody past 3 years. I've never really. They're probably in the clear unless they get caught in the future.
Yeah. Shadéy, are there certain jobs that are exempt and or have discounts toward taxes that you are aware of?
The only ones I can think of would be like nonprofits, so like religious organizations, schools, charities, things like that. Those are the only ones that are exempt from taxes. Everyone else has to pay.
Right. What are things that people typically don't think they can write off?
I wrote this down. So, before Trump's tax reform, we were able to write off a lot more things. Now personal taxes can't really write anything off. Before, you were able to write off like your phone, like if you use your phone for business, uniforms, things like that. But now you can't do that. So only, for the most part, only businesses can. So a lot of people don't know that tolls, if you're doing a business trip and you have tolls, you can write off the tolls. Another thing is business lunches. So if you're going to like a meeting or something like that, like I'm a tax preparer, but I'm mobile. So if I go and I meet a client at Starbucks and I buy a cup of coffee, I can write that cup of coffee off. Or if I go somewhere with the client to do their taxes or to consult or anything like that, you can write off business lunches, as well as donations. So let's say a lot of these businesses are donating to the coronavirus. They can write all of those off. So if you donate anything, even to church, you can write that off.
That makes a lot of sense. Now it makes sense when I go to Goodwill and I donate clothes, and they're always like, do you want to like
a receipt?
Yeah. And I'm always like, no, why do I need a receipt? So that makes a lot of sense. I should have been getting those. Wow. Are there any benefits of filing earlier than later?
The only benefits is that you'll get your money quicker.
Got it.
You get your money quicker and you avoid a penalty if you file late.
Got it. Do you have any tips for people who are first time in like this tax thing? Like this is their first time filing taxes. Do you have any like tips for them?
For the first time filing taxes?
Yeah, like they're going into it, they don't know anything. What would you tell them?
I mean, it depends on what you're going to do, because if you're just like you're doing your personal taxes, if you don't have any kids, you don't have any assets, you don't have a house or anything like that, you don't have to write anything off. They do have, the IRS has a program called the VITA program, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program,
Okay.
which is, I also do that as well. I volunteer with them. It's through the IRS. If you can find a VITA site, they can do your taxes for free. If you're not doing anything and you make less than 60,000, you don't have any extra things on your taxes, I would suggest you go to a VITA site, because you would also lose out on credits on things like TurboTax and H&R Block, because they won't ask you certain questions, and you would have to probably pay for the versions that would ask you those questions. So there's that. Student, if you're filing your taxes and your parents are like, oh no, I'll just file your taxes, they can take your education credit, but the taxes, if you're working, the taxes from your paycheck, you would still have to file. You would just have to let your tax preparer know, or you need to put that you're a dependent, because you still get your taxes back. The only thing your parents are filing is you as a dependent, so they can get that extra education credit. So you wouldn't get the education credit. Now, if your parents are not claiming you, you can claim the education credit and your taxes, of course. So you would get the education credit, that extra $1,000 that students get all the time. You can get that, but you would still need to file your own taxes. If your parents are still claiming you as a dependent, you would just have to let your tax preparer know, or you know that you're a dependent.
Got it. Wow, that's really good to know, because I remember when I was in college, my mom was like, you don't have to file any taxes, and I was like, I definitely do work. And then I ended up filing, and I ended up owing all this money because I waited 2 years later because some stuff happened at school, and they're basically just like, oh, you have to file taxes, you can't get financial aid. And I was like, wait, what? So I went and filed, and I owe like a few $1,000s. I was so crushed. Horrible. I'm like, why did I listen to her?
That's a lot of people. A lot of students don't know. That's why, like, I target the school, actually, because I always go back to UCF during tax season, and I let them know, hey, your parents said that they're going to file your taxes for you. They're not filing your taxes for you. They're just taking your education credit. You still have to file.
Right. Definitely. So thank you for being on today's episode. We always ask our listeners to give like a takeaway or homework or just something they want to leave our listeners with. So do you have anything for our listeners?
That stimulus check. That stimulus check is a trap. I am not touching that money, but they're going to send it directly to people's bank accounts. So whatever bank account that you filed your 2018 or 2019, if you didn't file 2019 yet, whatever you filed, they're going to give it to you automatically, but it's a trap. They're going to take it back.
They're
going to take it back.
Right.
I don't know. I wish I could, because I don't need it. I'm essential. Like, I've been calling myself essential. I'm essential, so I don't need it. I don't need the extra help. That's not gonna help.
I don't want it.
Man, I was reading up on it. I was like, at first I heard they were gonna take taxes on it. I was like, okay, I'll still take it. But then they're doing they want it back. I don't want to give it back. I'll just take mine when it comes.
Yeah, it defeats kind of the purpose. Like, all right, like you just said, or what if it comes around that time and people are not, still like financially stable, like, and people really, especially low income population, like depends on those tax refunds, like for real. So
that's a fact. I wouldn't take it. I wish I could decline it.
So your takeaway would be don't take that check? Your takeaway would be don't take that check?
Yeah, don't take the check. Put the check away. Don't. But it's like now everybody needs it. But that's crazy. That's great. I would probably suggest you put more. I guess change your W-4 whenever you get back to work. If you do get a job back or whatever, change your W-4 to take more taxes out of your check. Maybe take like $3-4 that you're not even paying attention to, and just have them take that so that it would basically like offset it, because nobody, like, what if you usually, you usually get 1,200, now you're not getting nothing.
Yeah.
And what if they make you pay the rest? So like if you only get 1,000, you owe them 200. Like,
wow.
Mm-mm.
It's dangerous.
I wouldn't.
Here.
I would tell everybody start a business as soon as possible. Trump's tax reform is helping a lot of like small businesses, so this would be the best time for you to start a business, to be completely honest, for everybody to start a business. A LLC is what, $160 LLC. A EIN is free. Start it.
Well, I heard it here. Thank you so much for your time, Shadéy.
No problem.
We'll talk with you soon later.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
You too.
So, y'all, this episode is so needed. And I know for me, I was reflecting, I owe taxes right now because I was filing one for like an entire year. And I thought I was filing zero. And it's funny because my mama, she always say file zero. And I literally be calling her like, and when I get a job, like, mama, should I file one or zero? And she always say zero. But I don't know what happened. And I was like, y'all need to show me. I filed zero. And they showed me and it had one on there. And so either they did something or I just put one. So
you did something. I'm done.
So I owed taxes last year. This year I haven't filed my taxes yet. I'm gonna file them in the next few days, and I'm pretty sure they're just gonna snatch them. It wasn't a whole lot. It was probably like 1,000 or something. But it's the fact that I owed, and I filed my taxes by myself every year. And so when it said I owed, I literally went to H&R Block because I was like, oh my goodness, maybe I did something wrong. And do you understand, y'all, that they put my information in the exact same way I did? They did nothing different. In the exact same price that I knew I owed, they said I owed. And I had to pay them. It was like I owed the IRS like 1,000 or something, right? But what I'm trying to say is I went to H&R Block trying to make sure I'm doing it right. I paid them to put in my information. You're literally watching them. If you ever get your taxes done, like Shadéy just said, if it's only you and it's like a job, you can do it yourself unless you just don't want to input information in. Yeah. And I had to pay them to tell me something I already knew. I was so mad, y'all. But anyway, I say all that to say, pay attention to what you're filing. If you don't have any kids, file zero. I know sometimes people say if you file one because you're a dependent, technically, like you're one person yourself, but no, file zero so they can take as much taxes as needed, so you're not chancing it. And I'm gonna go ahead and share this book. This book is called Get Money, Live the Life You Want, Not Just the Life You Can Afford, by Kristen Wong. And it's not necessarily about taxes, but it's just another really good personal finance book, which I think is really helpful just in general. Myra, what you gotta say?
The taxes are now due, what is it, June 18th? They got pushed to June or July, one of the two. So y'all got extra time to file your taxes. If you're like me, I was waiting till the last minute to just input my little numbers. So now y'all got extra time to figure out what y'all gonna do. So,
but I don't know though. We should have asked her about that because I think it's only for like federal. You know, you gotta file state and federal, and so I think it's only for federal that it's the deadline extended, but not for state.
But it says tax day is now July 15th when you Google it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Reach out to Shadéy.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be an adult anymore. So, it is federal.
Yeah, and so you still got your.
Yeah, y'all could Google it just like I just did. But anyway, in light of all that's going on, all I have to share is to make sure you get outside for at least 30 minutes and do something, whether it be go for a run, go for a walk. Today I worked in my patio area, it's outdoor patio, so get on and do something. And thank y'all for tuning into this week's episode. We'll be back with a new episode next week.